Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Just Annoyed. I am Jackson, your humble host here, and I am joined tonight by Ken and Paul, two of my good podcasting buddies, to discuss mainly The Stand. But there is one more thing that I'm going to bring up during this. A little surprise for Ken, especially, and Paul. It involves him too. But anyways, why don't we start by introducing ourselves? Ken, why don't you start?
Hey guys, I'm Ken from Pinky's Out Podcast. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms, but mostly you can find me on Downright Annoyed with Movies, and you can find me on Jackson's channel, and we talk a lot of nerdy stuff and movies. So
awesome. Thank you, Ken. And Paul.
Hey guys, you can find me on Tales from the Flip Side YouTube channel. We go live Monday nights is when I'll be there. You can also find me on Instagram at Paul's Problem CBSI, and then hanging out with these guys doing some movie reviews.
All right. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and start the show. So before we get into The Stand, we did get some viewer feedback on one of our Downright Annoyed episodes from weeks ago or months ago. This is a film that Paul picked. And I'm just going to go ahead and share this email and read it out loud for Paul and Ken. So I really enjoyed your panel discussion of this, in my honest opinion, very good and haunting off-the-radar character study / movie on the mighty YouTube, and so pleasantly surprised it was chosen to be reviewed by a panel of 6 people simultaneously. And since it came out in 2004 and was seen by just a handful of art house enthusiasts, I do have a few questions on some plot points I am unclear of that I thought maybe you could answer for me if you have the time. So, Ken, I want you to guess what movie this is.
Oh, God. Is this a friend of yours, Paul, or your brother-in-law, or your brother, or something? Or?
Nope, this is Natural Love from the Community.
I can't believe someone else liked that movie. I honestly.
What movie was it?
It's got to be Enduring Love.
Yes, Enduring Love. Enduring Love. So I'm on this guy's side. Now, I have not responded to this request for questions, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to string this out a little bit. And Matthew, thank you if you ever listen to this for sending this in. But yeah, I would agree with Matthew. I thought it was good. Paul, I think it's one of your best selections on the show thus far.
Sad.
You know, in fact, that's probably like the number one thing that Paul has brought into my life is that I never would have seen that movie had it not have been for Paul. So,
and yet you still talk to him.
Yeah, well, I like that one. That was pretty good. But Ken, I thought you'd really enjoy that. It's the first random viewer feedback I've gotten on any episode that it's been on my channel. So,
what does he not understand about the plot? You know, this was a movie that I'm pretty sure they had to do to get rid of drug charges, or they owed the director money or something, or they just happened to wander across the set and got conned into be in front of a camera for this turd fest.
I mean, to each their own, Ken. To each their own. You know,
Hey, Ken, do you hate Enduring Love or Red Belt worse?
Ooh,
I feel like he hated Enduring Love more, right? Red Belt had the fight scene at the end that Ken.
Yeah, I would say I hated Enduring Love worse because at least the martial arts at the end of the movie of Red Belt was realistic and was a good fight scene. Like, I felt like that was a real, like, 2 people that knew how to fight would fight that way, not the glittery jumping around the ring fighting, the grappling, and I don't know.
Now, spoilers for those who haven't seen Enduring Love, but that opening scene of Enduring Love, though, where the guy falls out of the hot air balloon, pretty intense.
Yeah, that was cool, but I mean, the movie was downhill from there. I mean, you peak at the beginning, and it's just a slide right down the old sewer drain, right into the sewer and out into the Lake Michigan. So.
Well, hey, I'm glad that we, got that out of the way. One thing, Paul, real quick before we hop into The Stand too, did you get a chance to watch Wonder Woman yet?
I did.
Okay.
And I wanted to, you said his name was Matthew, right? The gentleman
Yes,
who wrote in?
Matthew. Yes.
Yeah, I'm open to attempt to answer any questions I can with my uncanny ability to plug plot holes.
All right. So, Matthew, I will reply to your email and I will copy Paul in on the reply so long as Paul approves of that.
Sure.
And you can reply all. Maybe we'll get the whole group involved and it can just be this long, chain mail. And Matthew, anytime you want to suggest any movies for the show,
absolutely.
Just come.
Oh, include me on that email. I'll give him an honest answer about the plot points of that stupid thing.
All right. So Wonder Woman, Paul, what'd you think? Just before we hop in here.
Everyone said it was a dumpster fire. I don't think it was great, but it wasn't a dumpster fire to me. But I think the fact that my wife's a big Wonder Woman fan and she was enjoying it next to me in the theater helped me enjoy it. But yeah, there were definitely some plot holes, but overall, I liked it. I mean,
you saw it in the theater. You saw it in the theater, so that's a different experience, I suppose.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, were there a lot of people there?
The LCS rented out a theater and limited to, I think, 20 people.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so that's cool. I still, somebody else, my big thing with the movie was the fact that he took over someone else's life and like nobody cared about him. But then somebody brought up the fact that like then he sleeps with her and it's like she's like sleeping with some other guy without his consent. It's just very
and is it his dong or the donor dong that she's feeling?
She said, "I only see you." So
so it's got to be his bong.
So she's lying.
Yeah.
So she's lying.
Yeah, it's a very weird decision there. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about the latest television adaptation for a Stephen King novel. CBS All Access a couple weeks ago started The Stand. So rather than jump right into the show, sure. I don't know, Paul, I believe in talks with you, you have not read this. Ken, have you read The Stand?
Yes.
Okay. And Paul, you have not read The Stand, correct?
No, my only exposure is the old original TV series.
The 94 series?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So a little background on The Stand. I would say I would feel comfortable in saying that if it is not Stephen King's most lauded book, the answer to what is Stephen King's best book that most people would give you, that it's certainly up there. It's one of the top tier, most well-known Stephen King novels, I would say. So I really liked it. I read it a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago for the first time. I had never read it. Real page turner, character driven stuff, slow, but that's fine. Yep. So I was like incredibly excited for this show. So I'd like to start with Paul. You have not read it. So right. Your opinion to me is more
untainted.
Untainted, more the mainstream style opinion, I would say, not the nerdy asshole types who are just going to tear it apart like Ken and I'm assuming. So what do you think of it so far?
I mean, it's not terrible. I feel like it's missing some of the beginning aspects that the first one had, some of the drawn out, I liked the radio host that was kind of giving people information till in the series she got ripped off the air by the government. In this one, that was touched on very lightly, and so some of that beginning stuff was missing. They kind of glossed over it just to get the story moving, I think.
And was that Kathy Bates in the original? I feel, it was Kathy Bates.
So. Yeah.
So I mean, that's a good point, and I think you're, so far, if that's your criticism, you're kind of angling this the same way that I'm going to. So, Ken, what do you think so far?
I agree. It's got like, how do I put this? Like in food terms, you've got roast beef and then you've got the cubed beef flavored cubes you put in water to make soup. And that's what this is kind of like. It's like they took Stephen King, dehydrated him, and then tried to rehydrate the flavor back into the series. It's very flat so far. I'm not liking the reboot of most of the characters. Now, I did like, the gentleman that just showed up in the second episode.
Larry Underwood?
Yeah, Larry Underwood. I do like the actor. I like where they're going with that character. maybe if it's going the route that I'm envisioning from the book, I like it. But I don't like Franny. I don't like Molly. That was Molly Ringwald's character in the original, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not really certain it's cast well, to be honest. I don't like Whoopi Goldberg. I don't care for her. Probably because I've heard too much of her politics on The View.
Gotta stop watching The View.
Well, I just hear snippets of it, and it's like, oh my god. Although I do like Skarsgård as Randall Flagg.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to just give Ken an agreement that it's hard when you hear, if you hear someone's opinion about stuff in real life, it can ruin them as a character in shows. And that I don't know how to stop that from happening other than just not listening to them outside of their shows and things. It's hard. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've gotten pretty good at separating the actor from the role. Like, I think Tom Cruise is a lunatic, but for some reason, I just fucking love Tom Cruise movies, man.
See, I can't separate that. Other than there's two movies I've seen in his in the last 10 years that have separated that for me, and that's the time flip where he kept dying and resetting.
Edge of Tomorrow.
And then the one where he's a clone and the aliens. Oblivion.
Yeah,
those were good movies.
Yeah, I would agree. I like those too. My problem with this show is it's hard for me to analyze any of the individual parts or the characters or the choices as far as casting, because I almost feel lost even though I know the story. Like, it's the way they're telling it. It's all done in flashback. So the Stand book has a very clear beginning, middle, and end. Like, there's a ramp up at the beginning. You learn a little bit about the virus. They're journeying, and there's this long journey that they go on. And there's so much satisfaction that's gotten out of them reaching the destination they reach in the show, which is Boulder, Colorado. But the show opens in Boulder, Colorado, and it's doing a flashback thing. Mm-hmm. And I just think from a narrative perspective, it kind of kills the show, because there's certain characters like this last episode, and we're just going to do spoilers here. This last episode, Larry Underwood is introduced, and I can't remember. I don't think Nadine. I think Nadine's the one he arrives at Boulder with. But there's the character played by Heather Graham, who he's with in New York.
Right.
And you're just watching it, and you're like, well, I know that they don't get there together because you just showed me that, because you showed me clips of him in Boulder.
Well, I think she's supposed to be the replacement of Nadine. I don't know if they're going to have Nadine.
Right. Yes. There you go. Yeah.
Right. We know, you and I know from reading the book and stuff where she's going to end up.
Right. Well, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, okay, they're clearly beginning their journey outside of New York City together. And you're showing me that they're not together. Another one they do is that they show that Stu and Franny are together and that she's pregnant
already. Yeah.
Yeah, they show that. And it's like that. You've just completely skipped an entire section of like Harold's arc to how he becomes as crazy as he does. By the way, that's probably my favorite performance so far.
He is good. Harold. I will give him that. That guy is pretty good. I want to say that is an original take on that character. I like
except for he's not fat. He's not fat. So yeah, right. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a new original.
No, it's a new original take on it, because originally that was played by the same guy that did Parker Lewis, and then went on to Stargate. The spiffy, shiny HQ or GQ guy.
Yeah.
And this guy is more of the like,
he's to the fence. He's easily hateable.
Yeah. So I've got to say, like, I want to see how it plays out. But I'm pretty disappointed. Like, I'm not on the edge of my seat like I should be. Like, I don't understand for the life of me why you don't open the first episode with the scene of the guy escaping the military complex. Like, I get it, it's trying to be different, but I don't get that decision. I don't
either. I really don't, because that's how the book kind of opens too. With the very beginning, or the beginning of the plague, is verbatim almost of what was in the book. And in the original 94 series. And that's a great place to start. That's what the first 10 minutes of the first episode should have been. That
it hooks you. That's
it hooks you in, and then they could have started jumping around, I think.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't think you can jump around in this story.
Well,
I just think it's too much. It's like in Lord of the Rings. If Peter Jackson would have started Lord of the Rings with like, okay, Frodo is already in Mordor. He's coming up on the Black Gate or something.
Oh, and he's flashing back to the journey. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you need that build of
linear.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna just crush too many narrative plot points and reveals. It already has. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Am I wrong or
no? You're not wrong. I'm just wondering what they're gonna do in the middle. Then I wonder if they're doing this to establish that nostalgia for the first series in '94 and connect a little more to the book, and then maybe they're gonna take some left turns like towards the middle of it. Like maybe if we get through another episode or two, we're going to get thrown a huge curveball, which is what I'm hoping for. Honestly, I'm hoping for like, where the hell did that come from?
Sure.
Moment. So
who was Larry Underwood in New York with? Not Amber Heard, the other girl.
Heather Graham. Heather Graham.
I thought that Heather Graham was Randall Flagg in disguise at first. Because she just looked, she was all in white, sitting by the lake or whatever, and then as they escape New York, all of a sudden he's being attacked by the crows. He's pulled out of the sewer grate, and it's her, and she looks fine.
Yeah.
Like, I just went north, like you said. That's my opinion. I thought that was Flag in disguise to try and tempt him at a later date or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
that would have, but that also, what I was going to say is I like that they don't. I like the character casting because I don't know who's who. Like when you see a famous actor or actress show up, you're like, oh, okay, they're going to be around a while. But if it's someone you've never seen before, they can almost do whatever they want with them. So I like that mystery part of it.
And by the way, Nadine is Amber Heard. So Heather plays Rita Blakemore, and I honestly I don't remember if that was a character in the book or not.
Rita, I don't remember. I very clearly remember Nadine, but
yeah, I mean, there's still quite a few characters here to be introduced. And it's, I don't want to sit here and rip on every aspect of the show. There has been stuff I've liked. Like I actually really liked what they did with the Stu being held in the facility. Deal with the doctor, who was a really nice guy, and he had those conversations with him. I like the virus itself. It's gross. It's entertaining. I mean, when they cut now we've got an expert with us here, but not a virus expert, but a
decomposition expert.
Yeah. So let's get your take on that, if you don't mind. Is it
my God, dude. That scene where they walked into the church.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, memory triggers. Holy Christ! You would have been able to smell that from half a mile away.
I can imagine.
I can just very clearly. That's a very distinctive smell. Once you've smelt it, you will never forget that smell. And just the sheer grossness of what they were doing, I was like, oh my God, I just totally sympathize with that guy. My first time having to deal with something like that, I would totally. I did not lose my cookies, but just that gut punch to the stomach, that the sight and the smell of that.
Well, imagine it was just like they mentioned that in the city too.
Yeah,
like this whole city is just going to smell like dog.
And it's about time though that in these kind of shows they mention that, because they never mention that, like in The Walking Dead and stuff, how all these places should just reek where all these walkers are. You should be able to smell, like, especially the big chain of walkers. They should smell those for miles. But no, the scene where Fran has to carry her dad on her bed. I'm laughing because I'm like, that is so far from reality. It wasn't even funny. My
wife said the same thing. And by the way, it's just so you people know, I wasn't pulling in Ken for his expertise because he's a murderer or anything.
No.
That wasn't why. He works in an industry that deals with these sorts of things. But
he's not Leslie Vernon.
No, he's not. Ooh, well, maybe. But yes, I thought that it all looked cool. I like, even though it's a little goofy looking, how, because they describe it in the book, the like blown up necks,
like the mumps. Yeah,
and when you're, I mean, you can kind of make it look the way you want it to look in your head. And I guess I didn't, I didn't envision, like, it almost looked like a fat Star Wars alien or something. It didn't look necessarily real, but like one of the characters gets his throat slit when that's happening, and just this like bloody pussy shit flies out. So yeah, I appreciate that. It was
good. I liked that. I really do. The scene this last episode where Larry wakes up with that chick from the bar and she's like, I need a tissue. And she rolls over. I'm like, oh. And he just like, I got to go, babe.
Yeah, I thought that was his apartment at first.
That was great.
They are not holding back on how fucking gross it is. I mean, the characters that are sick have this like glob of snotty residue on their upper lips.
Yeah.
It is, it's not for the faint of heart, I would say.
No, my wife walked in on that second episode right when his mom is floating by him in the sewer talking to him, and the rats start coming out of her mouth. And my wife just turns around like, that's it, I'm done.
That's disgusting. Right.
In the first episode, what the heck was that thing by the end of the sidewalk when he crashes his bicycle? Like, was that a scalp or was that a dead crow or what was that?
It was like a dead raccoon or squirrel or something.
All right, I didn't know what the hell
on the
that
road.
was.
That was just roadkill, I thought. But
I mean, they didn't touch it. I was like, "What is that?"
I'm gonna have to go back and see.
It looked like a big. It looked like someone was scalped, and it was.
Are you talking about when the kids were chasing him down the alley? Yeah. I thought that was just roadkill, but maybe I wasn't.
Like nobody noticed it, and the kids chasing him didn't say anything about it. I thought that was really weird. One of my favorite scenes, though, was the military base flashback when the door was jammed. And then you later see that it was Randall Flagg's boot and that it was how hard the door was indented. I thought that was neat how he's helping, put the wheels in motion.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because I think I could go either way on that because I don't believe that was in the original book. I don't think that Randall necessarily caused the outbreak. You know what I mean? I feel like he was just there afterwards, but I mean, does that add or subtract to the story if this wasn't really something like, okay, how should I put this? The government's lockdowns that they had in place would have worked. Like they weren't wrong, but Randall Flagg caused it. Whereas in the other version, it would be, okay, well, our government brought this on us totally. There wasn't a good enough fail safe. And there was something to be said about the fact that the guy, like, he was selfish and he grabbed his family and dipped. And now it's like, well, yeah, he's still selfish, but it wasn't all on him because somebody else caused it to happen.
He wouldn't have got out if Randall hadn't.
Right. I see where you're coming from. I agree. Like the original, in my opinion, the original message was a, God versus devil kind of thing, unless I'm wrong. But in that aspect, in that aspect, to me, it would be two neutral parties, God and Satan, and that temptation would be there to be taken advantage of by a person, much like the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's a parody of my boot was there as temptation for you to leave or not leave the door. But it's, in my opinion, it would be complete absence with no influence from either party. And it's the human being who makes that decision versus.
I can see where you get that.
It was a neat idea, though. It was a cool image. It was like that part, the fact that his foot was there and the guy just ran right by him, didn't even look, Randall. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a long time since I've read that book, so I can't for certain say that happened in that book. But if you're a Stephen King fan, you're going to know what I'm talking about. If you read The Dark Tower, okay.
I've read two. Two of them.
Well, there's like 15 of them.
Right. Yeah. I've got them all. I just got to read them. They're right over there.
And actually, there's more than that because most of the books and stories that he wrote from the time of the Gunslinger to The Dark Tower involve
Sure.
They're all interwoven, right?
Like a shared
flag pops up in a lot of the other books.
Yeah, I read the one like the weird, like it almost like a kid's fantasy novel one, like The Eye of the Dragon or something.
Oh yes, that's very strange.
Yeah.
Flag is in the Gunslinger series.
Yeah, he's
in the last 2 or 3 books.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, and Randall Flagg, by the way, in The Stand, I mean, that's where I know him the best. He was brought up in the first 2 Dark Tower books as well that I've read, but in The Stand, that character is fucking awesome. I mean, and I really like him on the show so far too, I would say. Like him and his right-hand man is Lloyd Henreid. I liked the whole scene, the opening. It's a very like any fan of the book or the old show. I can't remember how they did it in the old show, but any fan of the book, like that chapter where it's just Lloyd and he's basically like stuck in a cell by himself for a month or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, it is twisted shit.
That's brutal.
And I thought it was good in the show. I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, I don't want to crap on the show because I'm very excited for the show. Anytime you can get me some Stephen King stuff, I'm going to watch it. There are some little holes I see, but I'm really hoping that this is one of those by the 5th episode, it's going to be hitting all 4 cylinders. It's going to be running like a raped ape at that point. I'm hoping. I think they've got to do a lot of weird stuff these first 2 or 3 episodes, and then it'll be great.
I did like how the character of Lloyd called Randall Flagg out right there. He's like, "Well, you must be the devil," and his only response was, "That's just it's not a very nice thing to say."
Yeah, that was good. I'm so far. This is a show that I'm imagining when it's all done, if it continues down this path, that this is going to be fodder for the fan edit folks that take chunks of this and put it in the correct order. And I'm not entirely convinced that this was the plan up until like that. When they filmed it, they knew they were going to put it in this way. Like the cuts are even odd. Like it's not things don't seem linked together in a narrative way where it makes sense. It's almost like you're going from scene to scene and it takes you a second to kind of, okay, where am I? What time period is this? What's going, you know what I mean? It doesn't flow right, I don't think. But
I'm interested to see how they're going to do the trash can man myself.
Will they do the trash can man?
That's what I'm wondering. You almost have to. I mean,
yeah, it's a weird thing. So I don't know which version you read, Ken, but I read the complete and uncut version where it's like 1,200 pages. Stephen King got to add like 300 or 400 pages back in, and a lot. That one. Okay, and a lot of the stuff in there is trash can man stuff, and I feel like it could have been removed completely.
Really?
Like that, like yes. And I feel like maybe when I read this again, I'm going to seek out the original version because you know how it is. I mean, some of these writers, man, it's like there's a reason why there's editors and they tell them, you know, hey, this doesn't need to be here. And then when somebody gets as big as Stephen King, then he's just like, oh, he goes to his publisher and says, hey, I want to release this. What are they going to say? No.
Right.
You know, even if it's a inferior version.
Well, that's why Dr. Sleep was so good. It wasn't his normal editor. It was a super fan that
oh really
edited. Yeah. Oh yeah. Look it up. It was they either ran some kind of Stephen King fan club or the Shining fan club. Yeah, it was like a super fan. It wasn't his normal editing. I forget the guy's name. I remember reading about it here few years ago.
So I just Googled about Trash Can Man. So rumor has it that Ezra Miller, who played the Flash in Justice League, is playing Trash Can Man.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But I don't know. We'll see if he's even in there. I don't know. That could be bullshit. And I don't want to get into what Trash Can Man does in case there's somebody listening who's never
right. That's why I didn't say it.
Right. But yeah, I'm very, very, very intrigued.
So, Paul, does this make you want to read the book?
I don't have time for books these days.
It's only like 1,200 pages.
Yeah,
Paul.
I mean, geez,
knock
that's
it
like
out
a
in the
weekend.
weekend. Yeah,
I think it would be interesting to read the original release with eventually, hopefully, both of these full series under my cap. But I was going to say, I wonder what if either of you had seen The Mist and how that was canceled after one season.
I did see that. Now, this isn't going to be from what I understand, this is only planned as one season. So it won't be canceled, so to speak. It's going to just run its course like a miniseries would and go.
And see how it does, whether they bring it back.
Now, Paul, did your daughter, who, if you're listening on the podcast webs, you can't see, but Paul's daughter is back there with one of those little claw things. Did your daughter watch? Did your daughter watch The Stand, Paul?
Oh yeah, they were all exposed. I covered. She was here. She was there. I covered her eyes at one point, and she just didn't really seem to care. I was like, oh, we're getting a little out there, but
she's going to be tough though. You're not going to have to deal with all the bullshit. I mean, I'd imagine if probably not many nightmares, that sort of stuff. So I would.
Yeah, she's not going to be scarred the next time she gets a snotty nose. So
no,
right.
she always sleeps through the night, so it's all good.
Did anybody have and this isn't to downplay the seriousness of COVID, obviously, but did anybody have the thought when you were watching this that like there are people out there that are treating that like COVID like it's this?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know Stephen King at one point had to even tweet like, look, the COVID-19 virus is not comparable to the it's Captain Trips because it doesn't kill 90. You have a very, 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 very likely chance of surviving COVID-19, as some can attest to who have survived COVID-19.
Sure can. But I mean, to be honest, though, it is a sensitive topic because everybody knows somebody. My uncle was in the ICU for 3 weeks. Other people have had loved ones pass away, so I get it. It's kind of I don't know. I'm hesitant to say it's a bad time to release this. Like, what else? What do we just watch, Jackson? Greenland. Like, end of the world movies are probably not the best thing to release right now. But at the same time, we got to get back to some sort of level of normalcy at the same time.
Well, and I remember when quarantine first hit, that movie was the movie called Quarantine with like Nicole Kidman and all those people in it. But it became the number one rented movie.
Are you talking about Outbreak?
No, it wasn't Outbreak. Outbreak's the Dustin Hoffman one. There was one
Contagion with Matt Damon.
Contagion, was immediately the number one streamed movie in the country. So, is it the right time? Is it not the right time? I mean, if you would have come out with this, like in April or May, I feel like it would have fucking blown up.
Yeah,
because we are a morbid race. I mean, we're lunatics, and it's like, oh, there's a devastating virus going on. The Stand. I actually watched the old miniseries right after quarantine started. So, I mean,
dude, the minute they started talking about pandemic, my brain went right to The Stand. Like, you guys don't even understand what a pandemic is. That's a pandemic.
The book, man, Paul, if you ever get a chance to read it, I'll say this. I had never, ever, ever cried from a book in my entire life. There's a part of The Stand that made me cry, sad. Like
I think I know which part it is.
Legitimately touched, legitimately like, and it wasn't like a devastating character died cry. It was like wow, this is just amazing. I felt like, and he's great at this, especially in his longer books, like in It, for instance. Like, if you just read It, you feel like you could get dropped in Derry, Maine, and you would know your whole way around. You would know the owner of the pharmacy and, you know, who lived in what house. I mean, The Stand feels like that. Like, you spend such a good amount of time with these people in this setting, and you grow so fond of them, or you hate their guts. And it's just classic. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people think it's his best book. I mean,
well, he's great at making you care about his characters. I mean, honestly, he's one of the best authors, not because he's a great writer, in my opinion. It's just he really sucks you into the characters. I mean, you see yourself as that, you know, weirdo that's gonna save the day, not because you're gonna get glory, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because his heroes very, very rarely ever win at the end of the book.
Yeah.
And did
They
you
always pay the price for the rest of us?
Right.
You know?
Did you ever read Insomnia by him? Is that worth it or not? Because that's another long one of his that I started years ago.
I read that one. No.
I think Christopher Nolan did that with Robin Williams and Al Pacino, right? Isn't that a movie? Insomnia?
I don't know if it. I don't recognize that one.
I think it might be. So
most
Paul,
of the
you
ones
don't have
I
to read
read,
that one either. You just have to go watch the movie.
I guess. I have cried during an audiobook. I was listening to it. So
interesting.
Not of Stephen King, but just
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, it's still
it's My Little Pony.
It's the only book. It's the only book to ever. It's the only book to ever make me shed a tear whatsoever. Movies make me cry quite a bit. But no, books don't. And I don't know if it's because I'm numb and I'm flying through it or whatever, but it was funny too, because I mean we can get into the part when we get to it. Actually, I'll hold back.
Movies you have the piano, the soft piano in the background,
right?
All that goofy stuff. So.
No, see, like I've read all of the Dark Tower books, you know, and anything that I found out had anything to do with the Dark Tower, I've read. Even the Tommyknockers, which isn't one of his more prevalent books, I thought was a good book. The movie was a little so-so.
Sure.
That was with Jeff Goldblum, I believe. That book got me a little choked up because of what happened to the dog, the Basset Hound.
Can't kill dogs, man. Hey, Cujo's sad, man.
That is sad. Cujo is sad. It really. As a kid, Cujo scared the living crap out of me. As an adult and a pet owner, I felt so damn bad for the dog.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, let's.
Voorhees doesn't even kill animals.
That's true. He does. He doesn't. That is very
most serial killers. That's where they start.
But yeah. Anyways, you know, final or not final, but quarter poll grades. I think there's going to be 8 or 10 episodes. So where are you guys at with this so far? Paul, we'll start with you.
I don't know, because it's like a neutral. Just I'm watching it just because it's something neat to enjoy. So I guess for now, I'll give it a C plus, just because it's kind of coasting. I guess whatever grade you'd give just something that you don't know, you're not sure about yet.
Sure, Ken.
I agree with Paul, but I'm going to give it a straight C. I think it's got a lot of potential. It's there, but I think right now we're kind of coasting through some plot lines, and I'm really hoping it's going to, like you said, that cylinder is going to kick in and get it up to an A. I'm hoping it gets to an A.
I'm going to give it a D because I think it's like fundamentally broken, and I think if they're gonna continue the storyline with these flashbacks, which I can only assume that's what they're doing, I don't see how this isn't anything but a disaster. Like I just don't. And by the way, before we leave, they replaced one of the scariest scenes from a book I've ever read, which was Larry and Nadine going through the tunnels. It wasn't a sewer in the book. It was like it was the tunnel with the cars, and it was
like the Brooklyn Tunnel.
Yes.
Yes.
Why the fuck would they do that? But yeah, that's just me being, I'm being the asshole who's like, that's not my Stephen King. But
see, I don't remember that.
That's not my Wonder Woman.
Yeah, basically the setup, Paul, is they come to like the London, or what's the name of that tunnel? It's a famous
the Brooklyn Tunnel. Isn't it the Brooklyn Tunnel? Or
something like us Midwesterners, we don't get it, but yeah, they come to a tunnel and they start walking through, and like they have a lighter or whatever, and yeah, I mean, the way that he writes it is fucking terrifying. Like, you don't know who's in these cars, you don't know who could be around the corner. Sewer felt a little weak to me, but yeah,
it was a little cliche,
right? So, all right, well, that's it. Before we end this episode, let's go the other way this time. And Ken, sign yourself off. Where can we find you?
Find me on all your podcasting platforms and on YouTube's.
Perfect. Pinky's Out podcast, by
That's
the way.
right. Right there.
And if you're listening, he's pointing at his asshole right now.
Yeah.
Just, yeah,
Paul.
but anyway.
Whichever.
And Paul.
You can find me on Instagram at Paul's Problem CBSI with some underscores under there, and if you type it right, you might find me.
Sweet. And there is a new episode of The Stand as we're airing this tomorrow. So maybe we'll have another episode pretty quick here to just deal with one episode. Thanks to me being a pain in the ass. We were supposed to do this weekly, but I don't know if that happened because of my fault or
you're a very busy man.
But yes, yeah, very busy playing video games. Yeah.
But that's right. You got your PS5.
I did. I did.
Oh, I didn't know.
Are you going to be a guardian of the light again? You're going to come back?
It's funny you should mention that. I have been doing nothing but playing Destiny for the last week. It's fucking brutal. I hate my life, dude. I can't.
I'll play with you.
Oh my God, dude. It really is the ultimate eat your life away video.
It is. It's a time
suck. My
God. It's a time suck.
But and it's on Game Pass, Paul, if you want to try it on Xbox One.
Is it multi, can you play system to system or no?
Yeah, so it's cross-platform.
It's cross-platform saving. So I can play by myself on PS5, save my characters, and then play on Xbox. So
can I play with you on my Xbox play with you on PlayStation?
No,
online?
No, but I want to play, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, I'll get off my PS5 and I'll get on my Xbox and then I can continue. It's not like I'm wasting my time.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right.
You just need to get a PS4 or 5, Paul. Get a 4 because they're probably cheap right now.
Right.
But yeah, that's it for us. Thank you for tuning in or listening. And we will, be back soon with more information or thoughts on The Stand.